Hello friend, welcome to my kitchen. We have a lot of things to get done today and I thought it would be fun to do them together. I have some veggies to wash and prep and some beans to cook in the Instant Pot. So grab your apron and let's get started. Today we have a lot of veggies to get through. We're going to prep some broccoli, some green cabbage, grape tomatoes, carrots, some mushrooms, celery, bell pepper, romaine lettuce, and kale. As I mentioned, I also need to cook some beans. We're actually going to be cooking black beans in the Instant Pot today. So let's go ahead and actually start off there. I'm going to be cooking 2 cups of black beans. So first we'll just give them a rinse and then add back in 6 cups of water, and those will cook on high pressure for 30 minutes. And I'm actually cooking a larger batch of beans today, definitely more than we will need throughout the week, and that is because I am going to freeze the leftovers, which you will see later on. But I've definitely mentioned this in other videos before. It is just much easier to cook a large batch all at once, and then we won't have to worry about cooking beans for the next couple of weeks. So now that those are cooking, we can get started on washing all the veggies. Now, an interesting note about this broccoli, this is actually the pre-cut broccoli that is from Costco. I always used to think that it was also pre-washed, but it is not. So you do need to wash this one even though it's already pre-cut. Just go ahead and give it a quick rinse before you cook it. Now with some of the veggies that I buy, it ends up being more than we can use within 1 week. So actually what I like to do is just to wash and prepare the first half of it. So like with this romaine lettuce, for example, I'm only going to wash the outer leaves first and just leave those inner leaves intact. And then we're just gonna store that back in a mesh bag and then back into the fridge. And then that'll stay good for another week. We won't need to touch it until our next batch prep next week, because of course, once the lettuce is washed, it won't last quite as long. So that's just a little tip for you. If you have a larger head of lettuce, you think you can only get through half of it within a week, just wash the outer leaves first and don't touch the inner leaves until you're ready to wash and use those the following week. And we're also gonna do the same thing with the celery. Just take off a few of the outer stalks and leave those inner stalks for the following week. And then we can just wash those together with our tomatoes, bell pepper, and cucumber. And then same thing with the cabbage. I am just going to chop half of it. I like to chop my cabbage before I wash it. Does anybody else do that? I just feel like you can get the inside a little bit cleaner. So I just like to chop up the half first, wash that thoroughly, and then we'll save that other half for next week's batch prep. Mushrooms, I do get a lot of questions. Can you wash them in water? I think most people are taught not to wash them in water, but I have done a bit of research and it turns out there isn't much difference, especially if you're only washing them for a quick rinse, which is what I do. I don't leave them soaking in there for a long time, and it really doesn't affect their texture at all, and I find it just helps get them a little bit cleaner more easily. And also with these mushrooms here, I'm just doing what I did with the lettuce and cabbage, and I'm just washing and prepping about half of them, and the other half will stay in the box. They will stay fresher longer if they're not washed. So the remaining ones will go back in the fridge and they'll get prepped with next week's batch. So now first things first, I wanna get that broccoli steaming. So I'm just setting out a pot with a steam basket inside, and we just wanna do a light steam, like maybe 3 or 4 minutes, so that the broccoli is still a bit al dente. And that is so when we cook them later on in the week in other dishes, they will not be overcooked. Now with most of these veggies here, I'm just going to cut them into strips, and this makes them perfect for like snacking. It's really easy just to grab out a Tupperware from the fridge with your veggie sticks already cut into a perfect snacking shape, but you can also use these in salads later on in the week as well, or even in stir fries or something else that you have planned. So I find that just having them cut into strips like this just gives them a little more versatility and gives us a couple options in different ways to use them throughout the week. For the mushrooms, we're just keeping it very basic and slicing them up. These will most likely get used in a pasta or some kind of cooked dish. So just having them already cut and ready to just throw into a dish is gonna make your life so much easier. Now the leafy greens are super easy to store. We're just gonna take a clean kitchen towel and gently roll them up. This helps eliminate excess moisture, but also helps kind of lock in just a little bit of moisture to keep them fresh and vibrant. If you do notice that after about 4 or 5 days your lettuce or kale have wilted, you can always put them in an ice cold water bath. But I've found that putting them into a kitchen towel while they're still damp and just rolling it up and keeping it in a Ziploc bag is a really good way to keep them fresh. They always come out looking nice and vibrant and green even about 5 or 6 days after I've washed them. And then cabbage, on the other hand, is super hardy, so it can just go directly into a Tupperware. And finally, our beans are done. As I mentioned, I'm going to take out about half to eat throughout this week, and then we are gonna store the other half in the freezer. Now, one of you, my lovely viewers, gave me this amazing idea to store the beans in soup cubes or some kind of large freezer ice cube tray situation. I have these really nice large silicone ones from Amazon. I'll link them down below in case you want to check them out. But basically having these smaller cubes able to pop out from the freezer at any time and reheat is just going to make it really easy to reheat the perfect portion. If before you've tried freezing 1 or 2 cup portions and found that it's just a little bit too much to defrost all at once, you might want to try this smaller portion. I find that these little ice cube size are perfect because they're about 1/4 cup each. So you can just pop out 1 or 2 and have a perfect personal size serving. So now we have everything prepped, we can relax. Of course, we have our black beans here ready for the freezer. We also have a portion of black beans that will go into the fridge. We have our chopped green cabbage, chopped mushrooms, our green leaf lettuce and black kale, our first veggie box with bell peppers, cucumber, and tomato, our second veggie box with celery, cucumber, and carrot, and then of course our steamed broccoli. So we've managed to get a lot of prep work done in a pretty short amount of time. Now, if you're wondering how I'm going to be using up all of these items, I want to leave a couple videos here for inspiration. These both have some great recipe ideas using a lot of the veggies that we've prepped today, and I hope this inspires you to get a prep done yourself, even if it's just washing and chopping some veggies. Your future self will definitely thank you for it.